Um, so this is Amy Steiker and Julie Lowndes, and we are gonna review a pull request from the cookbook together and screen share as we go and take notes as well. So to orient the things we've got open, this is the Cloud Cookbook, and Amy has been alerted that there's a pull request because she's a reviewer. And I can, when we come to the page, we can also see there's a pull request here. So if we click here on pull request, you can see that Andy Barrett has reorganized the how-to guides. We click on that. I have this yellow band up here because I am one of the reviewers that Andy has tagged. So I actually got an email about it too, and Amy is as well. So we'll look around a little bit more, but when it's time to add our review, clicking up here on this green button is the way we can do that. So I'll share like how I kind of look at this, and Amy, add any other ways you kind of look at this page. So this is Andy Barrett said he's recast the heading as how do I. He's added new sections for different transformations, added a parking lot page, and gave a he's saying this is a suggested organization. So he's asking for our feedback. I could scroll down here and learn more. I can also see what I usually look at here is that there's been 18 commits associated with this work that we can look at individually. There's also been 15 files changed. Those are the things I kind of look at first. But we can kind of scroll down here. These are the 18 commits. So we could just read kind of what he's done here and get a sense of what he was thinking. Well, actually, let me just scroll down this whole page just so we can see what it is. So you see all the commits here, and then you'll see that down here, it's saying that like, you have to review this before we're able to use this merge pull request. So that would be these like formal reviews by Amy and me.
Yeah, and Julie, just to confirm there, that is sort of something set up in the repo, right? That we've sort of said, you know, we want to ensure that there is a review. So this is something sort of a rule that we've put in place.
Yes. So yeah, exactly. We decided we wanted this process, and we're able to click the settings in GitHub to make sure that this button is grayed out until there's a formal review. Yeah. Great. So we could, leave Andy a comment down here if we wanted to, but we thought we could just look at this commit tab. So this gives much more detail about each one of those commit messages. We can look in and kind of see his progress as we go. I think since let's just have a look at one of them. Modified text to explain what how-to guides are. You can see, so this is going to show the files kind of line by line what's changed in this specific commit. So the red means delete, the green means add. And as a preview, like you can see, we won't do this right now, but you can see there's like little pluses that come up when I'm hovering here. When I click that, like this is a way we could say like, hi, Andy, this is a great choice of language right here or something. We can give him a feedback line by line, but we're thinking we could actually bring this in a 2i2c and build it and look at it and do our review alongside that, if that made sense.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I'll just say it's so helpful in GitHub that you can go through this and like see line by line what's changed. But sometimes, especially when it comes to a code, it's hard to really know what's changed until you're actually like seeing it in whatever environment, right? So I like the sort of starting here in GitHub and sort of getting that broad sense of what this pull request is all about, and then going into the hub to actually kind of explore it hands-on.
Yeah. Awesome. And we can keep an eye. So before we go to the hub, we can just look at these 15 files change. I think this will be, for what we're looking at, it might be more helpful to think of them by files rather than by commits. So we'll be able to see kind of all 15 of these files that have changed. So this, for example, so there's this little navigation bar over here that is showing something that's modified in orange, added in green. And we'll see what that means, this little arrow, in a little bit. So this is this main corto.yaml. This is kind of the main registration or registry or directory of the whole website. So we'll see that he's renamed some of these things in the navigations bar as a preview. But we can make sure that we sort of go through these 15 like file by file and check that we viewed them as we kind of have built them in the hub. Okay. So I think the only thing is for me to remember what this branch is called: reorg how-to guides.
And real quick, Julie, just since we're like kind of going tab by tab,
yeah.
What is under the checks tab, just to the left of files?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've never clicked on the checks tab.
Yeah. I usually skip over it too. So
yeah. So this is something to do with the GitHub action. It used to have 2 steps on push and on pull request, and it built successfully in both of those. So those 2 checks were passed. As a sidebar, you and I have been modifying that GitHub action, so we'll come back to what this means later, I think. But yeah, I never clicked on that.
Okay, cool. Oh, that's great.
But there's more power, like if we wanted to know whether something was able to build as a prerequisite for our review, that would be really helpful. Okay. Okay, so let's go to the hub. This is the staging hub where we've got the most recent everything. I am going to open a terminal and CD to the Earthdata Cloud Cookbook. And I can use tab. Is this big enough, Amy?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay. I'm gonna say git status, just to have a look at what's going on here. I am in a branch called import breakout. Okay. I think I should just be able to shift out of here. I'm gonna say git branch main. Great. Oh, nope. I needed to say git checkout main. Sorry, git checkout main. Great. So I'm able to switch to main. I'm going to say git pull. And this will pull main, but also we'll be able to know that there is this new branch called reorg how-to guides right here. So now I will say git checkout reorg how-to guides. Huh. Am I doing this right?
Yeah. Good checkout. Yeah.
Okay. Great. And cool. So now we can preview this, so we can have a look at what the cookbook looks like with these additions. Ignoring the GitHub action that we won't talk about right now. So we can say Quarto preview. And so this is where we're using Quarto to build the book. So we can look at the live book with Andy's suggested edits. Maybe while it's doing this, it's going to do all 24 pages here. We'll just come back here a second. Oh, cool. You're taking notes. Awesome. And we'll add these to the cookbook.
Great.
Yay!
Yeah, they're not every single, but hopefully enough to jog our memory, with Yeah, we might need to fill in exactly the commands that we're doing.
Yeah. Oh, it's so helpful. Thanks, Amy.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we will, I'm gonna open this in a new window so we can just have it side by side. Oh wait, what? That's interesting. Log in to continue. Is that just because it's a new window? No, that's weird. I don't think
Huh.
that's ever happened to me before.
You know what? It's staging
Oh,
versus production.
yeah, yeah. Weird. Okay.
Huh. But I wonder if this will be interesting. I wonder if we actually need to update the URL to point to staging, but this will be an interesting test.
Yeah, you're right. While that's trying to build, let's just try that. What if I added staging? Yeah, that's what it needed.
Mhm.
Okay, that's actually a good note for the Corto team. Okay. Cool. So yeah, and this gives an error because that's not where it is. Okay. Once I logged in. Okay.
Interesting.
Okay. So I'm just gonna narrow that a little bit. So this is, let's just have a look at the cookbook. Full cookbook. I'll make this wider just for a moment. So we've got the how-to guides now have this language like Andy had described. How do I find data? And this lists all the how-tos in this section as kind of stubs. Maybe I'll look at this top level how-to guides just to get a sense of this. But how do I access data stored in Earthdata Cloud, direct access? Cool. Is there anything I'm gonna have to look back at the list to know where
Well,
else to
right.
look.
That's what I was, wondering. And this is where I'm always, I'm sort of thinking about, okay, what changed and what do I need to compare? And this pull request is, in some ways easy because it's not necessarily code. It's more of just a reorganization of our kind of navigation structure. So, I think just orienting and making sure we're kind of looking at this rendered cookbook, and looking at all the places that, where Andy made the updates.
Yeah.
And well, this is, kind of brings us back to what we were talking about earlier with GitHub Actions, because sometimes it's helpful for me to compare it to what's currently in production. But interestingly, it actually looks the same right now, but we're working on a fix so that doesn't happen. So sometimes that's helpful for me too, to sort of like compare it to the old way, to really see what's changed.
Absolutely. Yeah. And since right now there is no old way demonstrated here, we'll have to rely on the this view to kind of see what's old and what's new. So maybe looking through line by line here, instead of it saying Earth data search, it says how do I find data using Earth data search. So that's like this that's reflected here, like in this navigation bar. How do I find data using Earth data search?
Yeah.
It's interesting. It keeps wanting to go here. How do I find data using Earth data search? And this is just the name of, this isn't the name in the navigation bar. He's also changed programmatic search to how do I find data using the command line or a notebook. That's cool. He's changed a subfolder to subset from being called transform, and that shows up here. We can just, I'll click let's see, it's in this download data section, or in a let's have a look. How do I subset data granules? Is probably what that one is, but we might have to check that when we look over here in the subset files. So actually we can get, maybe this is a good place to, I thought we were gonna just look through this whole file first and then give it a check, but maybe actually, since he's created a subset folder and added some files in here, we can just jump down here and have a look at these. Oops. This index file, it says, how do I subset data granules? And that's what we see here when we look at that actual page. The title, sorry, the title that he's written here will be the default that shows up here, unless you give it a different name. So that's what's happening there, which is great. So maybe I'll check that we viewed this one just so we can kind of keep track.
And actually, so Julie, this is an interesting a case. All right, so I just realized something. This is super minor, but maybe it would be a good example. So OpenDAP is one of those funny acronyms that's gosh, what's the term where there's uppercase and lowercase for the acronym? And actually, so I think if you want to expand that, it's technically it's like the P is capitalized and also the N is capitalized. I feel like I have to spell it out myself to So the only letter that is not capitalized is E. So this is super minor, but let's say we wanted to make that suggestion.
Yes. So let's do that right now. I'm so glad you said that. So I can add this little plus, or when I hover, I get this little plus. I click there. And I believe if I wrote here right now, it would be a comment that I could say, hi, Andy, please change this spelling or this capitalization. But actually I can also, this is a new feature that Steph Buttonland just showed me, that you can click here that it'll become a suggestion. So if I click that button, I can actually change this myself. So you're saying only the E is lowercase like that?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Okay, so I'm just gonna say, so that will be a suggestion, and then Andy should be able to like check like yes, and it will be done, rather than me having to describe it and him copying and pasting or doing something different. So that's great. This is also, so if this is a pretty big, this review has we have more work to do. And so instead of clicking add a single comment, which would email Andy immediately, I'm going to say start a review, which will not email Andy yet. It will let me make all these comments as we're developing them, and then send him one email when we're ready. So I'll say start a review. Great. So he then will be able to say yes, which is great. Cool.